Well, I worked all day, so I thought I'd reward myself with being able to work on the jukebox a little bit. So I'm going to start on the amp. I made good progress yesterday. I thought now's the time to go hit this thing up just in case I got to rebuild it. I know what I have to get into. So I took my crud cutter and a rag and just slowly went through the whole top. And what came out of it was this beautiful amplifier. The finish looks great. I don't see any rust. There's very little damage to anything here. That's pretty good for 70 years old, right? Almost 70. Looking real beautiful. So this is an R105, which was, if you notice here, I'll try and show you on the tag. They either had R111s or R105s. The R105 is for the 45 kinds of records, and the R111 is for 75. So you'll see a little 45 stamped right here. You know this is an R105. Anyway, and you can see power in. We got a fuse over here. Here are speaker outputs, and we'll talk about those in a second. This is the output to the turntable. So I've noticed on it, it has marked 10 amps and 250 volts. And then the other one has, let's see, 15 amps, 125 volts. So I'll have to see what the output is to the turntable. That's interesting that they have this on the amplifier. And then I've already taken out a few of the tube amps. I'll show you the tubes here. They're really in superb condition too. I don't know if they work. I'll probably have to test them, but they look real good after I clean them up. If anybody is doing this after me, be sure when you take them out of the socket, you don't pull by the glass. You reach down and you get this little plastic part. And if it's not wanting to come out of there, you could take a putty knife and just slowly kind of work that out of there. And because these guys are not easy to replace sometimes. Actually, the ones on here are all pretty common. And sometimes you run across one that's not so easy to replace. So that's one way to get those out. We have the bass and treble, which is different than the Wurlitzer. Now the Wurlitzer had a button and they called it just sound. And I'm seeing there's a lot more features on this amp. Volume, so we could have a remote volume control, and it's grounded too. So we must have a ground that goes off to the unit. Input from your phonograph, and 3 old school electrolytic capacitors. So, and just so you know, this is a 6L, 2 6L 6Gs, 2 6S N7s, and an SU46, in case anybody is looking to rebuild one. Interestingly here, there's a little chart. You can't see it real well. I'll kind of describe it for you. This is speaker configuration or connection chart. So this is also different than the Wurlitzer. I think we could have on the Wurlitzer one external speaker, and it almost had to be the Wurlitzer brand because of the ohms were really funny on it. I think I don't think it was an inductive coil type like the main speaker, but it was this giant speaker, a very strange inductance. I can't remember what it was. Well, here it's pretty straightforward. If you were to install this at your like at your bar or something way back when, you could have just the main unit speakers, or you could also go with configuration. That's this first one. So you could have it in 3 and 5. So you notice 3 and 5 are highlighted for me up here. So that's what they had at first. But you could also have either one other, or maybe it looks like 2 other up to 8 ohm speakers, or maybe 5 other, 5 other 500 ohm speakers. And those would just be regular magnetic speakers. So that's pretty cool. I might even try hooking one up and see how it works. Or you could even not have the cabinet at all and have just external speakers. So, and then you had to have the leads going in over here as it describes, and a jumper set up. It's actually two jumpers in some cases. Between 2 and 3 and 6 and 7 would make this work. So very interesting. I'll open up the back case so you can see it. But this is looking real good. I think we're going to have a great project in our hands. The more and more I see it, the more excited I'm starting to get. All right, well, I've gotten the back of the cabinet open. I thought I'd show it to you. You notice, first thing I thought I'd show you is I opened it up and I thought, oh no, has there been some burning or scarring here? And after I look at it a little bit, first, if you match this up, this was on here. And so most all of this is these kind of places that little heat marks seem to be right where wiring is. And none of the wiring seems to be burned when I look at it. It probably has gotten warm over time, but it hasn't actually had anything burn. I do also see a little bit of discoloration in this area. This may need to be changed. Everything else looks good. I probably will change the caps, the capacitors anyway. I think that may have come, and somebody could comment and tell me if I'm right here. I think that may have come from dust that enters in this little crack and moves along the edge of the cabinet, and it probably heats up, gets some discoloration, and leaves some dust and everything on the inside there. But like I say, everything looks pretty good here, much better than my other one. And rewiring this is with more modern capacitors is really going to be easy. It's sort of like soldering for dummies there. Once I identify which one's which, again, unlike the Wurlitzer, was just an absolute mess. But this looks real good. Well, I was a little worried about this resistor right here, and it turns out that I think it's okay. I took my multimeter and I put it on ohms, and I checked, and it's supposed to be a 15,000 ohm resistor. So this doesn't always work, but I've got everything unplugged, obviously, and I've got the connections that this connects into disconnected. So I think I'm seeing a real resistance across it. So it's supposed to be 15. And when I go ahead and run it here, yeah, I'm getting in the 14 to 15 range. So that is great. I bet you this discoloring is maybe from this wire right here. It looks like it comes from the amplifier into one of the capacitors. So it might be the thing I'm getting some discoloring from. I don't know if somebody knows this better than I. Leave a comment, please. I'd like to know more. All right. There we go. So for now, I'm just going to crud cut this edges off a little bit, make sure it's all as clean as possible, and I'll put it back together, and then we'll see what happens once I get this a little closer. I think this might be good as it is. I may still need to do a capacitor replacement, but it's looking pretty good. Well, that's it for today. Please like and subscribe, and come back for some more E-120 build.